Welcome back. Today we would do the reading comprehension passages, and the basic idea for today's class would be to work around the changing trends for the reading comprehension passages. Now most of the students who come in are very afraid of the reading comprehension section, and this forms a major component of all the major exams these days. So we would try to understand how to focus on the reading comprehension. First of all, there is no coaching institute, no help that can be provided for reading comprehension. This is something that you have to do on your own. Even if someone claims that they can make you an expert in reading comprehension, it is practically not possible because you are the best person to work around your own skills. Now when you are working around your own skills, there are two things that you must note. So first is, take any passage. Now when you take any passage, take at least 1 hour, 2 hour or whatever time limit you want to read and understand that passage and then solve the questions. Now let's say there are 5 questions that you are solving based on that passage. There could be two possibilities. One is that you solve all the questions correctly and you might take say 2 hours understanding the passage and reading it. And in the other case, even after 2 hours, you are not able to solve the reading comprehension properly. So what is the difference between the two cases? In the first case, when you are able to solve in 2 hours, that means what is the problem here? The thing here is time. You have to understand and manage time. So you have to develop the habit of speed reading and ultimately develop your speed for reading comprehension. In another case, where you are not able to solve even after 2 hours of reading the passage is the fact that you are not properly able to comprehend the passage or understand the passage. So what is very important that is being judged these days is the understanding. Now of late, whatever passages were asked in the examinations were focused on a kind of very lengthy passage, a kind of 2 or 3 paragraphs or even more, and then you had few questions based on it. However, with the changing trends, now what is there is not the length, but the length might be small these days, but what is important is the concept. So the language is either twisty, or you have to understand the concept in detail to be able to answer that question. So first thing is, nowadays you won't find very long passages, 2 pages, 3 pages passages as they used to be before. The focus now is on understanding. So the questions would be like, what does the author imply, what does the passage imply, what is the critical inference that could be drawn, so on and so forth. So the whole focus is on understanding the concept. And lastly, previously most of the passages, of late also, now also, you have certain exams where you have antonyms, synonyms, the meanings and the opposites that are being asked, but the ratio of those questions is substantially decreasing and is confined to very few exams nowadays like GMAT, GRE or Bank PO, and in that also you have a very small proportion that focuses on antonyms and synonyms. So what should be your main focus is ability to understand and comprehend the passage. Now even if you are not belonging to an English medium, you have done your 10th or your masters, even masters in your regional language, or let's say Hindi, you have English as one of the subjects as a general paper starting class 1. So you are definitely familiar with that. So even if someone says reading comprehension, don't get afraid because you are familiar with that language since you are schooling. So the first thing is understanding, getting the familiarity with the concept, and now we would understand what kind of information is usually asked in the examination for reading comprehension. So there could be 4 varied types of information that is asked. The first is a kind of direct question. So let's say you have a passage about the economics of India, and you have the demand and the supply, the net GDP and the growth rate and so on and so forth. So these are something factual information that you have, and if there is any factual information, that would be directly answered from the passages. However, as we said, The ratio of these questions is declining. The next is the derived questions. Derived questions means you have 10 students with a given so and so age, and let's say you are asked a mean. So this is a kind of derived question where you have to derive the mean and finally answer it. So similarly happens with the reading comprehension passage. There is a kind of derived information. The next is analytical information. So you have to understand the author's tone. What does the author want to say, or what does the passage imply? So ultimately the crux is the very important thing. And finally, synthesizing information. That is also a kind of new trend that is being asked in these days passages, and this talks about generating a new information from the existing information. So what do you want to do here is, you have a certain set of information that is given, let's say about governance, and then you have, based on that information, you have to understand or synthesize new concepts, let's say the accountability in governance and so on and so forth. But that should be done only if the question goes beyond the boundary. So what we want to understand is the methodology to answer these questions. So the methodology is, now there is no one methodology that can fit for all of the candidates. I might work around a different way and one of my friends can work around a different way. So let's say what I believe personally is reading the question first and then going to the passage. So just go through the passage, kind of do a X-ray, a quick scan of the passage and read the question first. Once you read the question, you exactly know what point in the passage to work around. So if it's a long passage, then this technique is really helpful, because you know exactly which paragraph to point out. The other technique that some of the people use is passage first. So they start with the passage, they understand the passage wholeheartedly and then move forward for the question. So both of these techniques are true. I don't say one of the techniques is good or other is bad. It totally depends on to you how you want to progress with the question. The next is understanding the crux of the question. Now there are two very important things that you must follow for all reading comprehension questions. First, confine yourself to the boundaries. That means even if you have an information and knowledge about that concept, don't apply that knowledge into the reading comprehension question. So what that means is, whatever is given in the passage, based on that information only you have to work around the questions. So that's one of the very important things. And another important thing is elimination from the choices. So the choices that are given, as we will see forward when we move with the examples, sometimes the choices are very confusing, and sometimes you can say, okay, these are the choices that cannot be possible, so you directly rule those choices out. So what is the best technique for reading comprehension is eliminating the incorrect choices. So let's say out of the 4 choices, B and C are the choices that can be totally eliminated out because they are totally irrelevant. Then you are left with just 2, so it's easier to understand, go to the passage back, comprehend it again and then see which of the 2 could be correct. So that's another very important thing that you must follow. Now there are certain keywords that are usually the theme for the question. First type of questions that are usually asked these days are based on the conclusion or the central theme of the passage. So whenever you have a passage, you have 2 things. One is the center idea. Let's say, consider it to be the kind of solar system. You have sun and all the rotating planets. So similarly is the case with reading comprehension. You have the main idea which becomes the sun, and then you have all supporting arguments that revolve around it. So you have the main focus or the inference, conclusion, crux, essence or the central theme. These are the keywords that are usually asked in the questions. So they can say identify the inference, identify the central theme and so on and so forth. Then there is another case which is assumption. Now there is a difference between assumption and the conclusion. Conclusion is something that you are finally landing on to based on the passage that you are reading. But assumptions are those underlying principles based on which you are trying to move to a conclusion. So it's very important to understand the difference between assumption and conclusion. We'll see in a minute later in one of the passages where we have a question on inference, and some of the students got confused with the underlying assumption there. And next is the argument or any supporting statement. So whatever you can give in support of the statement would be considered as an argument. So it would not be an assumption, it would not be an inference. So be very careful what type of question is asked, whether it deals with inference, whether it deals with assumption, or whether it deals with argument. Sometimes the question would directly deal with vocabulary. So for that you have to just read and improve your vocabulary. However, as we said, that's a kind of declining trend. Those type of questions are asked these days in very few examinations. So don't bother about that. The next thing is, what type of passages are asked? Mostly the passages are contemporary based. So what are the focus areas? The focus areas are environment, the first focus area. The second focus area are government policies or government efforts that are being done. The third focus areas are social reforms or social changes. So these are some of the broad areas on which you have the reading comprehension passages that are asked these days. Again, if you are reading kind of editorials from the newspaper, when I say reading, it does not mean that you are just scanning the newspaper. That won't suffice. When we say reading, that means you are doing an in-depth reading. You are understanding the editorial, you are understanding the views, understanding the perspective, and based on that you can develop your own ideas. So that's the basic idea, and that would help you in more of the reasoning papers as well. So reading editorials could be one way. Some of the people say reading novels, so that could definitely be beneficial, but it ultimately depends on whether you are able to understand the passage or not. The next is, we would be trying to do 3 passages here. Now all these 3 passages are from the 2016 examination that we have taken up. The idea here is to understand the passage, and definitely what we have done here is we have taken small passages, which as I said is nowadays a changing trend. However, these small passages would be useful here because I can read it with you, and then we can move on to the questions. Now first thing that we would do seeing this passage in general would be, I would just read the first 2 sentences. We are witnessing a dangerous dwindling of biodiversity in the food supply. The Green Revolution is a mixed blessing. Now just reading these 2 sentences, I get to know an idea about this passage, that this passage talks about the concept of green revolution, which is a mixed blessing. That means it has both advantages and disadvantages. So throughout the passage, as you would see, you are highlighting the advantages and the disadvantages of green revolution. So if you read here, you will see monocropping with the same genetic uniform seeds help to boost yield and the hunger needs. So what is the positive point here is this statement. So where you are saying you are boosting the yield and you are meeting the hunger needs, you are talking about the positive points of green revolution. In the next sentence you say that these high yielding varieties are genetically weaker. So you are pointing out the negative points of green revolution, that because of green revolutions we have the HYV seeds, the high yielding variety seeds, and these are genetically weaker. So in one sentence we are talking about the advantages, in the other sentence we are talking about the disadvantages, and the whole crux is here that green revolution is a mixed blessing. So this is something that we try to understand from the passage. Now quickly moving on to the question, you have which among the following is the most logical and critical inference that can be made from the above passage. Now as we said, we would first apply the 2 important rules that we talked about, confining within the boundaries. Let's assume that I know about green revolution beyond what is given in the passage, but I won't use it here. The next thing is the technique of elimination. So by elimination I can say you have to first work around the fact that you have to work around the critical inference. Okay, so that is the key point. You are trying to work around the important conclusion for the same. So monocropping with high yielding varieties is possible due to green revolution. That's true, but that is not the main message of the passage. So this cannot be the answer. Monocropping with high yielding varieties is the only way to ensure food security in India to the millions of the population. That is not mentioned. Then next is, in our agricultural practices, we have become heavily dependent on the expensive chemical fertilizers and the pesticides due to green revolution. Now this is shown here that the crops have become genetically weaker and they require excessive chemical fertilizer and toxic pesticides. So this becomes one of the assumptions, not the inference. So what could be the possible inference here? The possible inference is the green revolution can pose a threat to biodiversity in food supply and food security in long run, because in the passage we saw that green revolution is a mixed blessing and it is it's a kind of, we are witnessing a dwindling of biodiversity in the food supply. So these are the two statements based on which we can definitely conclude that D would be the correct option here. So we also try to understood here what's the difference between a statement that asks about assumption and what asks about inference. Now we have another passage here. This passage talks about that safe sanitation has been immensely beneficial to women and girls, and most of the urban sanitation practices do not mention these in particular. However, the primary focus is on the abolition of manual scavenging. Now even if you read this whole paragraph, you would have the questions here. Now coming to the questions, you have the two statements and you have to say which of the statement is correct. So the first statement says urban sanitation problems can be fully solved by the abolition of manual scavenging only. Now there are certain extreme words which are very carefully be read, which should be very carefully be read, and this is because if there was not this word only, we could say that this statement would be correct, but just because this statement says it's only the abolition of manual scavenging, if solved, the problem of urban sanitation would be resolved, is not correct, because in the passage it is clearly written this should primarily focus on abolition of manual scavenging. That means this should be one of the major focuses, not the only focus. So one is definitely incorrect. There is a need to promote awareness of the safe sanitation practices in urban area. That's true from the first statement itself. So you have 2 as the correct statement. Now since you had 2 statements, you have the various options here. We already saw one is incorrect, so this would be incorrect, this would be incorrect. So the only option that now comes up is 2. So you have B as the correct answer. So this was another kind of question that talked about how to work around the reading comprehension problems. The next here is, we have another passage, and this passage is again from the 2016 examination, and what we are trying to do here is, you have a kind of excerpt from the Thomas Paine's Right of Man book, and you have a paragraph here. Now again, just scan through this paragraph quickly and bring out certain highlights. When you are bringing out certain highlights from the passage, it's a good idea to either underline those or mark those. So whenever you are answering the question, you can quickly refer back to the exact sections in the passage and you don't waste your time searching for the same. So that's again important. You either mark those, underline those, or mark those in inverted commas, somehow or other discriminate it from the rest of the passage. Here what we have discriminated here is, in all the cases she made his need natural wants greater than the individual powers. So what is the focus of the passage here is, the passage here is trying to explain that how natural wants are greater than individual wants, and to attain those, what is important is society, because you are saying no one man is capable without the aid of society of supplying of his own wants. So what is important here is the role of society. Now if we move back to the questions here, again this question asks about a logical and a rational inference. So the first thing that we need to understand here is, you are again asked about the conclusion. Nature has created a great diversity in human society. That's not the message from this paragraph. Any given human society is always short of wants. Again, this is not conveyed. Social life is a specific characteristic of man. This is something that is nowhere mentioned. Okay. Now the last statement, diverse natural wants forced man towards a social system. This is correct because here we are saying natural wants are greater than the individual wants, and without the aid of the society or social system you cannot fulfill those. So what we are trying to say is that diverse natural wants force the man towards a social system. So that is correct. So you have D as the correct option here. So these were the 3 paragraphs that we took to help understand the concept of how to work around the questions of RC or reading comprehension. Now we have also covered another videos on reading comprehension. You can refer those for some of the other passages and different type of questions. Here are some of the important words that you should not miss in the passage. These are 3 sets of words. The first is the conclusion words, the next is the contrast word, and the continuity words. Continuity words bring a kind of continuation in the sentence or the passage. So if I say similarly, moreover, additionally, in the same way, likewise, that means I am trying to bring in a flow for most of the passage. When we say contrast, that means I am trying to distinguish between 2 things. One was this, however, the other was this. So however, nonetheless, but, although, despite are contrasting words. And finally you have the conclusion words that talks about the crux of the passage. Thus, therefore, hence, in summary, in conclusion are some of the terms that are used. Again, sometimes that is used, and whatever sentence you have after that becomes important because you are trying to reveal the exact message after that word, and that is kind of a word that would help you understand or relate the concept with the basic idea of the passage. So these were some of the very important things that you need to keep in mind for reading comprehension. I repeat again, don't be afraid of reading comprehension passages. These are something that you have been doing since your class 1. You have been reading certain types of text, and you have been trying to understand certain type of stories and so on. So this is considered to be a very similar part of that. So don't be afraid, just have full confidence in you. Even if you are not belonging to a kind of English medium background, you have a definite scope to secure very good marks for reading comprehension. So this is all about reading comprehension. We will be covering more similar topics in upcoming lectures. Have a good day ahead.